Bowmaster 619 here. The Master has arrived. So, very happy new year to everyone out there. And yes, I know full freaking well that it is not New Year's yet, but you know what? I have to work tomorrow, and I'm not gonna stay all the way up till freaking midnight just so people can say, "Oh, Happy New Year!" Exactly when it freaking happens. Guess what? It's New Year's somewhere in the world. So yeah. Now, I know I promised that this time I would go ahead and do a tasting video. The only problem is, I'm a few drinks in already. And no, I did not go through this entire bottle tonight. I'm not that much of a masochist. However, I did have a few shots, of good old redemption here. And to commemorate the new year, I will go ahead and pour myself one final shot. Just to show that I do at least try to keep my word for the videos I do. Now, funny enough, Redemption is a rye whiskey, which I'll go ahead and read it for you. Rye whiskey was once the preferred spirit in the U.S. Prohibition. In the U.S., Prohibition changed that, and rye was nearly forgotten. Redemption is bringing back rye, restoring it to its rightful place. Pre-Prohibition Rye Revival, batch number 253, alcoholic content 46%, proof 92. So, to quote other fellow spirit drinkers on YouTube, it is 92 horsepower. And honestly, it is good stuff. It's one of my preferred drinks. Hello, Louisa Lewis. Very nice to see you. Very nice to see you here. Happy New Year's to you as well. I did give you a thumbs up on your most recent video. Looks like you two were having quite a bit of fun. And considering it's New Year's, why the heck wouldn't you be having fun, right? There's my hand. So, today in general, was a fairly fun day. Got to go see my kids twice. Took them out to lunch over at the Golden Corral. Will and Sam were both being goofballs, as I'm sure you can imagine. Then, once I finally managed to get home, I tried a new recipe that I found here on YouTube, which was for pork buns, which is a type of Chinese dumpling, for those of you that don't know what exactly a pork bun is. Now, I'm sure quite a few of you are familiar with typical steamed or pan-fried dumplings, also known as pot stickers. Most typical Chinese restaurants will serve these as an appetizer. They are folded in half, and they look, what's a good way to... They look kind of like a seashell, almost. Like a folded in half seashell. I'm not entirely sure how to properly describe them, but they're quite good, and pork buns are essentially the big brother of these steamed dumplings. You know, if you have seen the movie Kung Fu Panda, any of those three, or any other movies similar to that, the round dumplings that they show constantly in those movies is essentially what I made tonight. And the first batch did not turn out good at all. But that was my own fault. That's because I was stupid and used quinoa flour, which is completely gluten-free. I was trying to make a recipe that my mom would be able to enjoy along with me because she has to have gluten-free stuff. But quinoa flour is not only bitter, but it's extremely heavy, so it didn't rise at all. Despite the fact that we let it sit for 2 hours, it did not rise. So yeah, the first batch, the pork filling, turned out delicious, but the dumpling outer wrapping itself, oof, not so much. So then I went ahead and made a new batch of dough from actual all-purpose flour like you're supposed to use. And my God, those turned out so good. They literally taste almost exactly like the dumplings that you can get at a legitimate Chinese restaurant. Only much bigger, much meatier, and tasty. Even made a little bit of dipping sauce for them using soy sauce, rice vinegar, and a little bit of my 7-Pot Primo hot sauce. I have to emphasize the little bit because, being the fact that it's made with 7-Pot Primo, I was on fire. But yes, those turned out quite delicious. I cannot complain about the new batch at all. But I can say this much, you would be amazed how difficult it is to try and find white pepper in a grocery store anymore. It is incredibly hard to find white pepper. Though, I did find it. So yes, if you are interested in how to make these pork buns, simply do a search on YouTube for traditional Chinese dumplings, and it'll be the video called pork buns, I believe, and it's made by... What was the name of that channel? Simply Dumpling? I believe it's called. If I can, I will leave a description in the... I will leave a link in the description below, assuming I can find the proper video. I have it in my Watch Later playlist, so I should be able to hopefully copy that into the description at a slightly later time frame once this live stream is done. So if you are interested in making these particular recipes, or this one particular recipe, I should say, hopefully you'll be able to find it there. And one thing I also want to say about this recipe is rice vinegar and rice cooking wine are basically the same thing. I actually had to look this up on Google simply because the place that I went to only had rice vinegar. Traditional Chinese / Japanese, Oriental, basically, rice vinegar. So I looked it up, and it turns out that as far as rice vinegar and rice cooking wine is concerned, they are basically the exact same thing. So, if you can find rice vinegar, you're good to go. It is basically almost the exact same as rice cooking wine. Basically the only difference is the name. So I was very happy to find that out. But this particular recipe, oh, trust me, if you like the dumplings you can find at Chinese restaurants, you will love this recipe. Though I have to say, folding those doggone things to make them look like they do in not only the video for the recipe, but also in movies, whew, that's a pain in the butt. So, cheers to everyone out there. Cheers, of course, to Aaron, my YouTube brother. He left a comment on my last live stream saying, "Did you say alcohol?" Which, yes. Here you go, Aaron. This toast is to you, my YouTube brother. Oh. Let me say, when you're a couple in already, it's not nearly as smooth as the first couple shots. But good nonetheless, because, as I said, Redemption is definitely in my top list of spirits that I enjoy drinking. Funny enough, if I hadn't already been a few drinks in, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about the fact that I was supposed to be doing a, if you insist, Louisa. Since I had promised I was going to be doing a little bit of drinking for New Year's, I shouldn't have done this. But, ironically enough, speaking of Redemption Rye, I was considering doing a tasting video of my Redemption, of Ryevolution 2. If you recall from my earlier episodes of Spirit Saturdays, me and my friend Lord Mechanicus here on YouTube have reviewed Ryevolution. I think I might have the final video of Ryevolution still waiting on my laptop to be uploaded. Once I have a little more time at home, I will gladly upload that for you guys. But Or maybe I already fully uploaded that one. I haven't gone through my own videos in a while. I can't remember. So I apologize. And it's been a day. It's already 10:40 and I am exhausted. And I still gotta finish laundry. Yay! So, this next shot here is, of course, to you, Louisa Lewis. By far, you are definitely one of my most loyal subscribers, the most loyal supporters, so thank you very much for all your support. And I'll go ahead and toast this as well to Philip from Daddy Daughter Broadcasting. Never get tired of your videos, my friend, and I wish nothing but the best for you and your family for 2019. Same to you, Louisa Lewis, and everyone out there who may be watching this in post. And to any of my other subscribers that I might not remember, let's see. Yeah, is me. Make sure to check him out. He loves spicy stuff. The LA Beast, check him out. And I'm going to stop right there because I legit can't remember anything. Cheers. I'm good. Oh, that's got a bite. We appreciate that, Louisa. Are we back? It cut out for a brief moment there. Okay, again, my Wi-Fi out here is not the best by any means, so don't be surprised if we cut out a little bit, but 12 minutes in, 2 shots in, probably not going to do any more, but on a brief side note that is totally unrelated to this, I did get an interesting package in the mail the other day. Excuse my big belly in your face. I just got a new package full of chopsticks. And these have actually come in handy the last couple days. So, it came with 10 pairs in total. I've got 5 pairs of these fairly artistic and intricately designed bamboo chopsticks. Hello, Philip from Daddy Daughter Broadcasting. Nice to see you here. I just toasted you a moment ago, and I'm sorry that was very rude. I just learned that the other day. If you use chopsticks, do not point to other people. That is basically the same as fighting words. Then, of course, you can see these very shiny stainless steel chopsticks right here. Yes, funny enough, yesterday I actually watched a video talking all about chopsticks and things you're not supposed to do with them. And one thing that apparently is the same as basically calling someone's mom a C word, K word, I'm not sure how it's spelled. Esanam is sleeping, but Mariska and I, and Esanam, say hello. I am very sorry if I'm slurring my words. I'm a couple shots in already. But yes, one of the rudest things that you can do with a pair of chopsticks is this. Don't point at someone with your chopsticks. That is basically the same as fighting words. And hello, David. Nice to see you here. And another thing, very important to never do, is jam your chopsticks down into your bowl of rice. Because one thing that is tradition in Chinese and Oriental culture in general, it seems, because I've also seen this back in, thank you for the toast, brother, right back at you. Because in quite a few different kind of Asian cultures, apparently, they put incense sticks on their family's gravestones. So when you stick chopsticks into a bowl of rice, it basically looks kind of like incense sticks on tombstones. And let's be perfectly honest here. Who ever really wants to think about death when you're trying to eat a meal? Unless, of course, you're thinking about the death of the animal that you're eating if you're, in fact, a meat eater. But that is something I will not go into detail about, because despite all these animal rights activists out there, guess what? If you're trying to claim on the side of religion, you're full of crap. It is written in several places in the Bible where it says specifically that God made animals for mankind to use. And what's very amusing about that is the fact that there is a group I am a member of on Facebook. Bear Bow Hunters, I believe it's called. I'm a member of a couple of different groups like that, but I believe it was Bear Bow Hunters specifically, where there wound up being a massive conversation between the different people in the group, where one of those animal rights peoples commented on a hunting video or hunting are disgusting. How dare you kill innocent animals? I hope you effing die. Basically is the gist of it. And if I remember correctly, they also mentioned something about religion in there. And I kid you not, probably around 10 different people quoted directly from the Bible specific areas where it says exactly how God specifically made it to where animals would be used by humans. It was actually really cool to see. Happy old year, Adam. Thank you. S&M points her chopsticks at me all the time. Is she trying to tell me something? Just kidding. Well, again, this is just from a video that I watched yesterday, and they were basically talking about certain things that, at least over in China or in other Asian cultures, is considered very rude to do with chopsticks. And pointing your chopsticks at someone is on that list, which I can somewhat understand because, I mean, let's face it, here in Western culture, we always try to tell our kids or other people, don't point, it's rude. Pointing is rude. Why are you pointing at someone? Very true, Mariska. It is technically the old year, and I will agree with that. But apparently there are several different things that Westerners tend to do that is considered highly rude for different Oriental cultures. And speaking thus, I believe the two different kinds of chopsticks I have are Chinese and Korean. Which is interesting because the Chinese ones are a bit more square, as well as they are longer than either Japanese or Korean. Japanese chopsticks are somewhat similar to Korean, where they are also made with bamboo, but they are shorter than Chinese. They are rounded, and they have very tapered points for picking up smaller food with them, because I guess in China and Japan they typically have smaller servings. Hello, Zomblue. Very nice to see you here. A very happy New Year to you guys as well. 5 watching, let's get 5 likes. Thank you. That would be awesome. But there are actually reasons as to why the chopsticks are designed the way they are. I legit can't quite remember them exactly because it was yesterday and I haven't really been listening too much. I wasn't paying that much attention to it because I was delivering. And let me tell you, it was busy yesterday. But Japanese chopsticks are typically much more tapered at the end here, kind of like the Korean ones here, about Japanese history and Chinese histoire. Okay. So anyway, Chinese people apparently have larger helpings than other nations. Japanese have smaller helpings, and then the Koreans apparently like to use stainless steel ones like this. We beat all of you to the new year like bosses. Just kidding. Have a happy new year. Well, if you want to get technical, people on the other side of the planet have probably already beaten us by several hours for the new year. So that's... New Year's is almost subjective. I cannot speak. But apparently in Korea, another part that goes with the stainless steel chopsticks like these is actually a spoon. Because they typically will use a spoon to eat their rice with instead of chopsticks. And when I say a spoon, I'm typically talking a traditional type of spoon, not one of these spoons, which I just so happen to have a 6-pack of. I remember I bought these not too terribly long ago because I was wanting to make myself some miso soup and I wanted a more traditional spoon to use. But it turns out these spoons are very good to use and even just everyday Western cooking as well. I think Philip likes it as well. Japan beat us all. Well, I guess that kind of depends on how you're speaking. Easter Island was the first. I'm not quite sure I get the reference there, Philip. But, yeah, if it wouldn't have been for the... Oh, Japan beat us to the New Year. Oh, okay, I get you. I was going to say, if it wouldn't have been for the atomic bombs that America dropped on Japan, and I apologize if this is offensive to anyone, I'm just quoting the facts that I know. Honestly, the war probably would have gone on for quite a few more years, honestly. No worries, I think Easter Island was the first to the new year. Very likely. Yes, if you have never actually used these kind of spoons, going on a more positive topic here, these are actually very good spoons to use. They're more kind of like ladles than spoons, honestly, but they work very well for mixing. They work very well for soups, obviously, and, of course, they are very good for rice, actually, so those would pair up very well with a pair of these. And interestingly enough, I actually stopped over at the local Ace Hardware yesterday, I believe. They really work well for soup indeed. Yes. Honestly, I kind of think these work a little bit better than Western spoons for eating soup, actually. Especially when you have soup that's, like, full of a bunch of different ingredients. A bunch of different, like, vegetables, potatoes, meats, things of that sort. This actually seems to scoop up the different ingredients quite well comparatively. I still use a regular spoon on a regular basis, obviously, but honestly, if you have never used these, give them a try. They're quite nice to use. But I actually stopped the other day, yesterday actually, at Ace Hardware, and made myself a very nice little carry case for my chopsticks, which is simply made out of 3/4-inch PVC and a couple of ending cup links that just slide onto the end. So it's the exact same length as my bamboo chopsticks here, but I can fit 2 different pairs in there and possibly even a butter knife. Let's see. I always wondered what those spoons were for. I found out a couple of months ago. Did you go to a pho restaurant? Because pho restaurants actually feature this one almost exclusively when you order their food. And I'm not going to love pho. For those of you that don't know, it is spelled P-H-O, which originally I thought it was pho, but it's actually pronounced pho. My daughter is dancing around to Alan Thicke's Blurred Lines on the New Year's Eve show hosted by Steve Harvey on Channel 13. I heard about that, actually. One of my colleagues is from Laos? Laos. Is Laos in Thailand? Because I'm pretty sure I know that name. I just can't think of where specifically it is. But I recognize the name. Next to Cambodia. Okay. Where is Cambodia? We actually thought of Vietnam. Cambodia's next to Vietnam? Really? Okay, we were wrong on that. We were actually talking about Cambodia the other day, interestingly enough. We legitimately couldn't remember where exactly Cambodia was, but now that I know it's up by Vietnam, that makes a lot more sense, because I know the Philippines are... Wait, I might have that wrong. The Philippines aren't by Cuba, are they? Or are they closer to Hawaii? We're going live tomorrow playing music. We got some boss time lapses of fireworks and a bridge today. Awesome. By the way, Philip, have you gotten to practice the sound of silence at all since I recommended it either a couple weeks or possibly a month or two ago? Closer to Hawaii, I think. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm not very good with geography, so that's why I personally can't quite remember where a lot of these are. Plus, I just flat out haven't done the research myself. So, thank you very much for your patience as well as letting me know where more or less these places are, because I am interested to learn. I just haven't taken the time to sit down and figure it out. Yeah, I love history. Nope, he has not, but he will practice it because I love it. Have you heard The Sound of Silence by Disturbed? Is the question. The original, oh, who the heck did the original? Garfunkel, as I know, one of the names. Oh, heck, I can't remember the name. I have to admit, my friend, no, but about The Sound of Silence. That said, I will try tomorrow. Very good. Just for you, thank you. Simon and Garfunkel, that's it. Thank you, Mariska. Yes, Simon and Garfunkel are the ones that originally did The Sound of Silence, but Disturbed, woo! Their remake of it, in my opinion, groundbreaking. It is incredible what a good job they did with that. Matter of fact, I'm not going to lie, I sing that one constantly. And the other version is a hell of a version. I'm going to assume you're probably talking about the Disturbed one, because the Simon and Garfunkel, it's okay. It's memorable because they've used it quite a bit, but the Disturbed version, woo! Man, was that one incredible. Another remake that happened recently, a lot of screaming. In the Disturbed version? I don't think he does any kind of scream singing in the Disturbed one, honestly. I could be wrong, but from the way I remember it, I don't think he really does any kind of singing there. Those spoons come in handy to getting generous amounts of soup or custard in your mouth. Custard. Woo! That'd be interesting. I'll probably cashify that one. Another remake that happened fairly recently that I personally thought was wonderful was Zombie. Bad Wolves did a cover of Zombie by the Cranberries, which I'm not going to lie, I actually heard the Bad Wolves version before I heard the original, and because I myself am a metalhead, I honestly kind of like the remake a bit better than the original, but that's only because I've heard that one before I heard the original. I can still thoroughly enjoy the original because, come on, that's what started it to begin with, and it's a very moving and emotional song. But I myself actually heard the metal version of it by Bad Wolves first. So you can't say much crap about me for that because, again, that's the version that I heard first. That's what was on the radio and what I looked up first. The original version is still very good. I have nothing bad to say about the original. I just know I can say crap about tit. Crap. Okay. Again, I'm not going to say any crap about the original because it is still a very good musical piece. It's very moving. It's very emotional. It is a beautiful piece of music. Though, personally, simply because I'm a metalhead and I heard the Bad Wolves version first, I prefer that version over the original. But that's just me personally. No idea what we're talking about. I jumped into the stream to see someone streaming. Fair enough. I mean, I sing along to the Bad Wolves version constantly. Zomblue is an absolute boss with a nose ring. Are we still talking about Zombie? At this point, I'm not sure if we're talking about Zomblue or Zombie. 2 minutes left till midnight. So you guys are exactly 1 hour ahead of us because it is 10:58 currently here. So that's interesting. And I take it then that, Philip, you guys are probably anywhere from 2 to 3 hours ahead of us. 10:59. Yep. That's Colorado time, obviously. Uh-huh, that's what I thought. Mariska wants me to get one of those. Just kidding. She'd punch me in the arm. I'm not gonna lie, Philip. Honestly, you with a nose ring, I'm not sure if I would like that. I mean, it's up to you if you want to, of course, but you just don't really look that much like a guy who would get a nose ring. I mean, that'd be kind of like me getting a tattoo on my forehead. I don't know where that reference came from. What's your new revolution for the new year? Honestly, I don't really participate in those New Year's resolution things. I think they're complete and utter crap, honestly. Because, let's be honest here, most people that come up with New Year's resolutions never intend to actually go through with it. Just saying. They'll sit there and say, oh, this year I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm not going to eat junk food anymore. I'm going to exercise more. And for the most part, they're probably going to be, Happy New Year, Louisa Lewis! Happy New Year! I got that right on time. Boom! Anyway, for the most part, people are typically going to be, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And for maybe two weeks to 1 month at most, they might go ahead and go through with their New Year's resolution, but then after that particular threshold, they're right back to their old self. So it's like, what's the point? Unless you actually have the solid commitment, not the drive, but the actual commitment, there is no way you will actually keep up with that. It takes a solid commitment to actually do something of that sort. I had to look up what a labrae is. It is a little more reversed as a piercing. What exactly is a labrae? I'm assuming that that's how you pronounce it, because that looks to be like a French word. Either that or it's labret. But I'm assuming it's probably labrae. Apparently I'm part Italian because I talk so much with my hands. Oh, what's that hanging in the closet? Fireworks and guns are going off. I believe it. I believe it. A lower lip piercing is called a labrae. Really? You learn something new every day. Starting out the new year with some new information. So I guess that's what David Draymond from Disturbed has then. Because for a while there, he had the lower lip piercings that came down in a big curve around his chin. I mean, of course, when he first started, they were much smaller, but they developed over time, and then he just kind of got rid of them for a little while. I found a big ring, like a hula hoop, in the closet. He has a double labrae. Still does. Yes, it doesn't seem like he wears it quite as much as he used to, but he definitely does still wear it every now and then. I mean, me and Leslie are actually going to go see Disturbed live in January on the 16th at the Pepsi Center. We've set aside a full 2 days for us to go into Denver and spend a little time together, and then actually go to the Disturbed concert, and then stay the night at a hotel, and then have the next day to do a little more running around in Greeley, Denver, and then go home after that. Lucky, yeah, I saw a notice for it on Facebook, and I bought tickets for it after that. I mean, what sucks is the fact that I only found out about the Disturbed concert at Red Rocks Amphitheater the day after it happened. And that pissed me off, because, come on, Disturbed at Red Rocks? Really? That would have been a lifetime event right there. I just didn't know about it, or I would have bought tickets right then and there. Because for those of you that don't know, Disturbed is my personal favorite band. And it is very difficult for me to say that. Do I need ballet lessons before I can touch that libre? Not bad. I have taught you well, young Jedi. I still don't know what a libre is. Okay, a libre is a lower lip piercing, at least according to Zomblu. So if you have any idea who Disturbed is, their lead singer, David Draymond, has two libres. And they are basically big hooks on the end of his lip, but it is basically the piercing on the lower lip. That is what a libre is, at least as far as I know from what Zomblu has taught me so far. So yeah. Like a cow? Are you thinking of the big nose piercing where they have the ring in for cows? That, I'm not entirely sure what exactly that's called. I know it's called a nose piercing, of course, but aside from that, I honestly don't know what exactly that's called. I don't know. Zomblu, what is it called when you get a nose piercing? Is it just called a nose piercing? Or septum? Are these all, like, Latin or French words? Or something? Because that's... Libre sounds like a French word. Septum kind of sounds like a, Latin word. No, like a cow is Zomblu, but he does have that much better than a cow. I have a double-aught gauge septum, Latin, based due to medical topography. Fair enough. And what I can attest to that with Zomblu is the fact that a lot of medical terms are based on the Latin language. This I know because I spent an entire year at massage therapy school. Not that I have much to show for it right now, sadly, but I did spend an entire year there learning the human anatomy, and a lot of the different terms and phrases that go with the human anatomy specifically are Latin-based terms. So technically, when you are learning about the human anatomy, you are learning a second language. Septum comes from sepsis. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. That doesn't sound good in the slightest, because I know what sepsis is. And sepsis is not a fun way to go out. So, since we have a few more people in the stream currently... Oh! Very cool, Philip. I didn't know that. I took human anatomy courses in college. Sweet! Sepsis is Latin as well. Makes sense. I mean, again, a lot of the terms that you learn for human anatomy are Latin-based. We hope no one gets sepsis this year or any year. Exactly. I can fully attest to that. Sepsis is not fun. There have been a few people that I know personally, actually, that have died because of sepsis. So, I'm just going to throw this out there. A lot of people will say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Me personally, I will wish the absolute worst on my worst enemy. That's why they're my worst enemy. Exceptions? 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 Okay. But yes, going back to that, personally, I say, people that say I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, honestly don't quite know what they're talking about, because, like, if they're your worst enemy, why wouldn't you wish something horrible on them? They're your worst enemy for a freaking reason there. And I understand I'm going a little bit dark here, and I do apologize for that, but that's just something that I have to speak on, is because if you're literally talking about one of the worst people you know, and they wish nothing but ill against you and the same to them, why wouldn't you wish the worst on them? That just doesn't make any sense to me personally. But again, that's just me. So, oh boy, am I feeling it. We will go ahead and do one last one here. And because of the fact that I've already taken 3 shots on this live stream, I could have easily done my tasting video. So I do feel kind of bad about that. So, Aaron, apologies that I didn't actually follow through with my tasting video as I said I would. But 3 shots of redemption later, I think that basically makes up for it. Let's move on with the Latin and the anatomy. I completely agree. Are we back? Okay, for those of you who aren't able to quite read it perfectly, it says, world's best farter. I mean father. What about my new last name? Congratulations, Mariska. So when exactly did you two tie the knot? I don't know if you ever actually commented on that either on Facebook or on your channel, but you must absolutely use your tasting vocabulary on this one. And I will. No, the anatomy. Wait, what? Oh. Colon. Anatomy. Colon. Last name. Okay. Is that literally where you were going with that? Even I didn't quite make that connection if that's literally where you were going with that. It's not colon, it's colon. The reason I have my septum is for a couple of different reasons. One, my nose has been broken several times and is crooked badly. 2, I'm a punk rocker. And 3, I like the attention. Fair enough. I mean, hell, you honestly want to talk about attention? Right here, my friend. Right here. Oh. Could have had a V8. Honestly, I don't really care for V8. I have had V8 tomato juice, and honestly, I really don't care for tomato juice. Technically, it's colon. But the tie the knot thing, partial albinism? Albinism. Albinism. I feel like I should know that word. I know what an embolism is, obviously. Albinism. Decrebe, por favor? Albino. Smartass. No, it is actually not albino. It is not me being partially albino. It is actually vitiligo. For all 3 reasons, it's awesome. No, I am not actually partially albino. I actually have a skin condition called vitiligo, which if you can see on my hands here, I don't know how well the light shows it, but there is actually a slight line right here on both of my hands where you can see where I'm very pale here, and then it kind of darkens out on my arm. Vitiligo is where the skin color pigments, the color pigments in the skin actually begin to die off. And because of the way the disease works, it actually continues to spread and causes other color pigments to die off as well. And for me particularly, interestingly enough, it has actually affected my facial areas, which is why partially on my mustache right here, as you can see, part of it is white, whereas the rest obviously is completely black. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but on the back of my head there, it's completely white all the way across the back. Thank you very much, Zomblue. And probably everybody refers to Michael Jackson. That is a good example of it, yes. There are obviously a lot more people than people think, because that wasn't redundant at all, that has vitiligo, such as I do. But I'm not going to lie, my favorite story to tell people is I looked up in the middle of a thunderstorm and got struck by lightning. which you have to admit is a much cooler story than just saying I have vitiligo. Not only have I convinced numerous people that I had been struck by lightning, I convinced an entire busload of foreign exchange students about it the short time I was working at Burger King. And hey, it makes sense. I got struck by lightning, it changed my entire face here, it got me right here in the back of my head, and then the lightning came out of my hands, which is why you see the lines here that almost looks like I'm wearing gloves of some kind. It all works out perfectly for that story. I'd have Lichtenberg scars if that was true. Lichtenberg. That sounds German. You are pretty convincing. Well, let's be perfectly honest here. How many people honestly wouldn't believe that story if there was no reason for them not to? Yeah, it is German. I was right. Nice. And what exactly are Lichtenberg scars? I'm actually very curious to know about this. What actually are those? But yeah, honestly, why wouldn't people believe that? You know? Lichtenberg scars are a fractal pattern caused by electricity burned through the dermis. Okay. Nice to actually have a full description of that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Obviously, I have not literally been struck by lightning, but that is the story I give every time, and there's only been one person that has kind of questioned it, and I wound up popping out a story with every question he had, which was actually pretty impressive on my part. That actually brings me back. I'm going to go ahead and do this quick story real quick. And David, if you're still watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Happy New Year's to everyone. All the best from all three of us. Another great, amazing live stream, Adam. Great job. Let's rock 2019 and make it beg for mercy. You got it, brother. That's exactly what we're going to do. Actually, I have a jungle mix, is what they call it, on Amazon that I'm planning on ordering for next year. It comes with a rhino beetle, a black scorpion, and a Madagascar hissing cockroach. And if I can get that particular package, I'm going to eat all three of them like a boss. But let me jump back to that story real quick. Me, David, and a few other friends were heading over to this sewer drainage, not even a sewer, a drainage system in our local town, which had some fairly large concrete pipes that you could crawl into. Well, essentially kind of walk into if you had walked in at a hunch. And several people had been in there before us because every time we came to a crossroads where there was a manhole up above, they had written in Sharpie on the wall who had been there and what time, which was honestly kind of cool. But as we were walking there, my genius friend David decided it was a good idea to walk with a chain wrapped around him like, what's that dude's name? Ghost Rider, and a baseball bat. This lady pulled up on the side road and asked us, "What in the heck are you guys doing? You gonna go beat someone up?" And me, without missing a beat, said, "No, we're gonna go play baseball at the local baseball field, but our friend's car broke down, so we need this chain to tow him out of the area so we can get him to a garage to have it fixed." And she said, "Oh, okay, have a nice day." Meanwhile, everyone else that was in the group, they just kind of looked at me like, you're like, where did that come from, dude? Like, I just thought of that on the fly. So, and that is the key to being a good storyteller slash salesman slash lawyer slash anyone who kind of bends the truth a little bit, is have confidence in what you're saying, and people will generally believe you. That's the key. Make sure you are confident in what you are saying. Honestly, I could probably write a book about that stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I've actually read a few different books about hypnotism, and that is something I honestly really want to get more into. Because hypnotism, In layman's terms, it's nothing more than the power of suggestion and the proper usage of words to kind of recalibrate the human psyche, so to speak. I've watched a couple of different videos on YouTube speaking of pathological lying for dummies. Well, you're not exactly wrong. You're not exactly wrong there, Mariska. But yes, I honestly find hypnotism to be very fascinating. In 19 days, I'll be 49 years young. Wow! 19 days. So January 19th or January 18th? My math is a little bit off here. January 19th, right? I apologize. I have been worked a lot today, so. But either way, a very early happy birthday. If I happen to be doing a live stream on that day, then of course I will say happy birthday as well. 20th. Okay. Okay. Well, either way, a very early happy birthday to you. What's this? 0% of people react to is the look, It's how you look. And 20% is about how you sound, and only 10% is what you say. So if you look good and sound good, and keep confirming and denying things, the crowd will go wild. Eddie Izzard? But hypnotism is based on the power of suggestion. Precisely. The power of suggestion is very powerful if you know properly how to use it. And that is the key, essentially, to hypnotism. One of the things that I learned about certain kinds of hypnotism is the hypnotizing gaze. And that's essentially the ability to be able to stare at someone or something without blinking for an extended period of time. And if you practice this, you can get to where you can go nearly anywhere from 1 minute to around 3 minutes without ever actually blinking your eyes even one single time. When you first start out, it might be a little bit painful. You can feel your eyes starting to water up a little bit because they're kind of starting to dry out. But once you get a little more used to it, then your eyes will get to the point where they don't necessarily need nearly as much moisture as they originally did. Isn't that called a stare down? I'm kidding. In a way, it kind of is, actually. I mean, there's a book I have in my collection that is something, I don't remember the exact name, but it's basically talking about the ideology of hypnotism for beginners. And that's one of the things it talks about, is not only having the stare to be able to really fixate people, but also having the proper verbiage or wordage or whatever terminology you wish to go with to kind of encapsulate them into what it is you're saying as well as what it is you're doing. I've seen a couple of live hypnotism shows, and they were very intriguing. And come to think of it, there's actually a school of hypnotism in New Mexico, which is not terribly far from here. Let's see. Odd fact, if you look up as far as you can, the more of your whites that are exposed, the easier you are to hypnotize. It has to do with the optic nerve and the auditory nerve cross. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've actually thought of going to this particular school of hypnotism more than once, but first I need to get a bit of a savings built up so I can actually take the 2 weeks off to go up there for I guess you could call it semester, because they go based on 2-week courses. If I remember correctly, they have 5 2-week courses that you can either take one right after the other, or you can basically break it up over a year. And the point is, you basically spend 2 full weeks in class with around anywhere from 70 to 80% of the time in a state of hypnotism, pretty much. Or at least that's what they say. I'm not entirely sure how 100% legitimate this school is, but I do know that hypnotism can be a boon to your business, depending on what the business is. Like for me personally, since I have gone to school to be a massage therapist, being able to talk with people obviously would be a good way to get a larger clientele. And at this point, I'm just kind of rambling, but you mean what I get. And that kind of goes with what I was saying in my last live stream, the power of inflection and how you say certain things. Honestly, I wouldn't mind going back to school to learn a little bit more about the human psyche and psychology in general, because, honestly, that is a very fascinating subject. To me personally, I just find it kind of interesting to think about how certain people, well, think. That's why I watch a fair amount of documentaries. Well, I shouldn't say a fair amount, but why I watch a few different documentaries about serial killers. And I know a lot of people look down on that and think it's really weird, but I find it fascinating to see, what they say that these particular people, how they think and why it is they believe it is that people do what they do. Psych and anthropology, looking into getting my master's in counseling. Very cool. Good for you, Zomblu. Excuse me a minute, I'm going to check something real quick. Okay. Had a couple of people respond to my message earlier. That's cool. Okay. So we have about 35 minutes to go before it's actually midnight here, but I need to get my laundry transferred. Hello? But I must say, this has been a very fun live stream, even though it has been a little bit of just random banter back and forth, which, there's nothing wrong with that. Speaking of those types of documentaries, check out the Iceman. If that's the same Iceman that I'm thinking of, is that essentially one of the best hitmen in history? Specifically, the guy who would tie people up and leave them in caves full of rats and videotape the entire execution. Because if that's the person you're talking about, and I apologize to any kind of children or younger audiences that might be watching this, but if that's the one you're talking about, I know who you're talking about. Richard Kalinsky, yes, that is exactly. I know exactly who you are talking about. There's a channel on YouTube called Rob Dyke, who talks quite a bit about subjects like that. He has a somewhat shorter documentary on the Iceman. And wow, he was a very interesting individual, to say the least. Honestly, he kind of reminds me of, what was that Russian serial killer's name? Do you know who I'm talking about, Zomblu? He was right around the turn of the century. He was abused as a kid, and he killed a lot of people, obviously. That's why he was a serial killer. But when he was about to be executed, he mocked the guards and the executioners, saying, "What is wrong with you idiots? I could have killed 12 people in the time it took you to execute me." Andre Chikatilo. Chikatilo? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. But yes, you know who I'm talking about. So yeah, to anyone out there who doesn't enjoy subjects like this, I do apologize. This is just something that I personally find interesting. And the fact that Zomblu finds it interesting is also pretty darn cool, because I have someone to talk to this about. Because a lot of other people, when I mention stuff like that, just kind of like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you learning about that? Like, dude, you don't know who Jeffrey Dahmer is? You don't know who friggin' Ted Bundy is? You don't know who John Wayne Gacy is? Damn. You don't know much about history, do you? So, let's go ahead and cut that off there, because I don't want to leave this on a negative note like that. Tessa has a collection of books on cannibals. Chess the Kill. Oh, you mean the chessboard killer? That's actually someone slightly different from who I was talking about, but I do know the chessboard killer. But we are dropping that subject. Yes, I agree. Honestly, it is a subject that I don't mind discussing, but anyway. Ergo, any new bows? Not yet. I mean, there are a couple of really nice horse bows that I wouldn't mind purchasing, but I'm a little light on funds at the moment. I've got a few different bills to take care of, and when did my executioner fall over? Excuse me a moment. Apologies, my executioner had actually fallen over and was about to fall on the floor, so I wanted to take care of that before it actually did fall. Okay, it is 11:30. Here in Colorado, at least, we are half an hour away from New Year's. So, because I still have laundry to get done, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. So, cheers to everyone who tuned in to the live stream tonight. And of course, cheers to everyone who was not able to make it due to whatever reasons there may be. 131 where DDB is at. Yep, exactly. So happy New Year's to everyone who happy New Year's it actually is. Happy New Year's to you, Zomblu. Happy New Year's to David. Happy New Year's to Louisa Lewis. Happy New Year's to Philip and Mariska, if you guys are still watching. Happy New Year's, everyone. This is my last shot of redemption before I have to go to bed. Whoo, liquid fire. So, it has a very nice caramel overtone, sweet aftertaste, a little bit peppery, kind of spicy, honestly. Has a smooth finish with a little hint of vanilla. There's something else in there. What is that? It's sweet. There's a sweet note. It obviously has that vanilla finish, but there's something else in there that I can't quite place. It's not exactly a brown sugar, but it's something else very similar to that. I can't place it, though. I apologize. If I think of it in a future video, I will let you know, but it has a very nice, mild, sweet finish to it that I just can't quite place. It's not cloves. It's not molasses. It's almost kind of an amber honey finish, actually. Overall, if you guys have the chance, check out Redemption Rye. And I also, of course, recommend Redemption High Rye Whiskey. Both are very good. They've actually been awarded some of the highest numbers you can get in the spirits department. But aside from that, Happy New Year's to everyone out there tonight. Be safe. Never stop learning. May next year be far better than the previous year was. Until next time, of course, good night or morning. Thanks for the quick Redemption Whiskey review. Absolutely. So, to everyone out there, Happy New Year. Have a wonderful night. And as always, this is Bowmaster619 out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, my friends.